Welcome to the Americana Bistro Grill. I am your host, Dr. Rob. Before we get started on one of our greatest artists, I have to give you some news. Our previous host and editor, whose name was Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, he has decided to retire from the Americana Bistro Grill and concentrate on his other endeavors, because we're a division of his blog. So he's going to be concentrating on the English version of the AG News show and the Spanish version, Noticiero RCAG, which means he left me with the Americana Bistro Grill, and it's a pleasure and honor to start the Americana Bistro Grill with none other, one of the greatest poets and singers from Minnesota, Ted, I hope I get this right, Ted Hajnasiewicz.
Close enough. Hajnasiewicz.
Hajnasiewicz.
Yeah.
Ted, Minnesota has given birth to two of the greatest legends of Americana music. One in the 20th century and one in the 21st century. The one in the 20th century was, if I'm not mistaken, was Bob Zimmerman, who later became Bob Dylan. And then the second one was you.
Wow, I don't know about that, but thank you.
It's the truth. I've been seeing all of your CDs and your videos. So let's get started. How did you get started in as an artist? How did you get started in music?
Yeah, so I was really young when I started just rambling on my aunt's piano and my grandma's piano, trying to figure out songs, Star Wars and Rhinestone Cowboy, things like that. And eventually, like in my teenage years, I started joining bands, playing bass, so that I could play rock and roll, loud rock and roll. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since I was a kid, really. And songwriting was always something I wanted to do through that. Instead of just playing other people's songs, I didn't even know what tell my own story meant back then, but I wanted to do what all my heroes did and write my own songs. So yeah, I've been trying for quite a while.
Great. And now you're really great. You're doing a lot of work here. You've recorded the CDs that I have here. This Is What I Do, Just for Show. I love the cover. I love the other one, Hiba Fiba, which we'll be talking about later. And of course, this one is really love. Tony wanted to make a record. So how, before we continue about the CDs, how has your career been evolving from the time you got started to the present time?
Yeah, so from a career perspective, when I was really young, I was hell-bent on I'm going to be a rock star, right? And so that was everything I was chasing, instead of really just trying to be some kind of artist, and then at some point I decided I don't think I want to be a rock star, and it allowed me to step back and just write songs for the fun of writing songs. And slowly I learned that craft. I'm learning that craft, and eventually you can actually tell a story. So the whole thing, when I talk about, I didn't even know what it meant to tell my story. Now that's over the last probably 5 years or so, it's been more of a conscious effort to actually try to tell a story in a song and have maybe it makes sense to someone.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
What you just said makes sense, and everything that you've been doing has been making sense. That's why we have you here, and that's why we love all of your music.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I discovered you via the Midwest Country Music Organization.
Yeah.
Especially the awards, because my predecessor used to do the South. He used to do the Rocky Mountains, even the West and East Coast. I decided to do the Midwest myself because I'm a Midwesterner just like you are. You're originally from Minnesota. I'm originally from Ohio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I'm originally from Ohio.
Nice.
My predecessor was also from Ohio, but I'm from Ohio, and I wanted to see that Midwest country music gets what it deserves, because you have the talent. All of you have the talent. I hear all of your albums, and like I said, I felt like I was hearing Bob Dylan again.
Gosh, wow. I mean, that's an incredible company to be in. Bob Dylan, of all people, you know. Yeah.
Yep, both you are from Minnesota. Bob Dylan did for Minnesota in the 20th century what you're doing in the 21st century. What was the I'm going to be asking you about each of your CDs.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Heba Fiba is, of all the 4 CDs that I have to choose,
Sure.
my favorite is Heba Fiba.
Yeah, so it's actually pronounced Heba Jeba.
Heba Jeba, sorry.
My last name and how ridiculously long my last name is and difficult to pronounce. Heba Jeba was a nickname an old friend of mine gave me, and he used to call me that, and he would yell whenever it was like, you think of the movies when the big burly guy comes out yelling, and it would be Heba Jeba, and he would yell Heba Jeba every time he saw me. And so I wrote a song called just with that title in his honor, and then eventually, as this project started to come to fruition, I thought maybe we should make this a band, and so that is more of a band collective that Paul and Mark played all over the record. Paul helped produce it, and so I was like, why don't we make this into some kind of band? So we're actually going to be playing some shows this summer, working on new songs for another record. So that will be a thing. You know, hopefully we can kind of make something out of it, you know, in time.
Yeah, you let me know about the new record, and we're gonna allow you to come back in, because we want you coming back in every time you have a new record, because we want you to get maximum publicity. We're now doing the old records, but when you have a new one, please let the doctor know. One of the CDs. Sorry for not pronouncing it right. Heba Fiba, right? Right. Heba Jeba. Is that I didn't pronounce it right because I didn't look well with the eyes. I'm having problems with the vision. So these are my bad glasses. One of the songs that I really loved was Farmer's Daughter. And, and the other one was Heba Jeba as well. Heba Jeba and Farmer's Daughter were my favorite. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
And how was it playing with Paul Gordhammer and Mark Ganshi?
So those two guys, they go way back. Mark was in my first band in high school with me. We kicked him out of the band because he was no good. He could not play guitar.
What?
And then he learned to play, and then he learned to play really, really well. And then about a year later, he and I got in a band together again. And then he quit to join a band with Paul. So we have a lot of history, like 30 years of history. We've known each other more with Mark, and we've just been good friends. And so it's kind of a cool thing to be. And the guy who's playing bass, his name is Tom. He didn't play on the record, but he's in the band. He went to school with us too, so we're all old high school friends. It feels like a weird high school reunion when we play together. So it's kind of neat.
But from this weird high school reunion, what you have is beauty. We don't see that a lot. And I've heard Heba Jeba many times. I've heard about 5 times. I've heard it since I received the CD.
Oh wow!
So it's my favorite. The next one, This Is What I Do, which I love, which I also love too. What was the inspiration behind This Is What I Do?
Yeah, so that record is a collection of songs. I was making I've made a lot of recordings, and some worked out, some didn't. And as I was learning to write, I got to a point where I thought maybe I should put something out on a tangible form instead of just put it on the internet. And I asked a friend to help me. He basically remixed all the songs, then we had them mastered to make a record out of. So it's almost like, it's funny to say, like at the time would be my greatest hits, if you will. It was the songs I really liked out of hundreds of songs. And so then I put that out and did a big release thing, and that's kind of was when I was going to launch. My kids are all, grown and graduated out of high school, so it was like kind of relaunching my musical journey, if you will. Was that album. So it's a pretty special record to me. I don't play many songs often anymore, but I should go back and pick a few of them. Yeah.
Don't worry, we're going to be seeing you a lot in the future. And the other one I loved this CD, Just for Show and Always Wanting More.
Yeah.
I also saw the video because I saw all of your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them, especially the video of Just for Show. So this I'm gonna be dividing this into two questions.
Sure.
First question is number one. What was the inspiration behind Just for Show and Always Wanting More, and that's for the CD? And then what was the inspiration behind the video? Because you had a really great, beautiful video of the Minnesota countryside, and you sitting in the chair in the middle of the snow.
Yeah. So the Just for Show, those are two records that I put onto one CD. Most of those songs, maybe all of them, were written during when we were all locked out and during pandemic. When the world shut down, I wrote like mad. I just constantly writing, and then I started co-writing with people over the internet, just throwing files back and forth. And so I started making the Just for Show, that record first. The song itself came from a dear friend of mine. He was giving me a compliment and how much he loved me, and said something to the effect of it's the eyes that speak for the soul, the bonnet on top is just for show. And the eyes that speak for a soul is a common phrase. I think he came up with the whole, your hair is just for show. And I said, I'm going to steal that. So I put it in a song. His name's Chuck Preston. And Charlie Preston, he said, absolutely, you can use that. So I wrote this song. It's about me and my wife, I'm the first part, she's the second part. And then I was writing all these really personal songs, and I decided I wanted to make this kind of stripped down, folksy type of record. Had a lot of friends help on it. Sarah Morris sings all over it. And in the meantime, I was writing all these other songs, and I made this little more rock, or a demo, like almost garage bandish record. That was Always Wanting More, and I didn't know what to do with all these songs, so I decided I'm going to put a couple records out, and I'm going to put them on one CD and make this weird collective, if you will, of two different styles of music.
And it came out beautiful. As I said, I listened to all of your CDs. Just for Show, you talked about Sarah Morris. Sarah Morris was all over the CD. I also remembered seeing a video of you and Sarah Morris. It was called the Toilet Tunes, but instead of the bathroom, Sarah Morris, from what I've seen in the videos, she used to do the concerts in the bathroom, and then when the pandemic came in and everybody was shut down, she decided to do, if I'm not mistaken, a backyard version. A backyard version, 6 feet social distance of the Toilet Tunes. How is it working? What?
I was going to say, if I remember correctly, we actually measured, we had a tape measure, and we're 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
That was good. That was good. We had a lot of creativity during the pandemic and the shutdown, which leads me to this question: How was it working with Sarah Morris in the CD Just for Show, Always Wanting More, and also working with her in the Toilet Tunes, the pandemic 6 feet distance program?
Yeah. Sarah's a joy. So, she is, in my opinion, one of the best songwriters, certainly in Minnesota, the best songwriter, one of the best songwriters, I think, in the country. And so the pandemic afforded me the courage to ask her, would you be willing to record, from your home some parts, and then send them to me? And then we started writing songs together, and I think one of them is on the Always Wanting More record. So we've done a few things together like that, and it's worked really, really well. And then she asked me to come to the backyard thing. That was her version of her Toilet Tunes, right? But from the big green backyard, I think she called it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So she's very, very generous with her gifts and her time. And I think she's like one of the greatest, beyond a talent, she's an incredible cheerleader for other artists. And I think that's a really, really sweet thing. I love that about our community, because she's not unique. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of incredible people who do just that here in the Twin Cities. It's a really cool place to be making music and art, I think. Yeah.
No, I'm already seeing this in the Midwest, and the fact that Minnesota had Bob Dylan and now have you and Sarah Morris. I looked at Sarah Morris as like a Joan Baez.
Yeah, I think of her as probably like a Bob Dylan in the way she uses her words. She's an incredible wordsmith for sure. Yeah, and I think Joan Baez was that as well. That's true. Yeah. Is that, I should say.
Yeah, the thing was, before doing the interview with you, I also hope to do one with Sarah Morris. But
Sure.
I listened to your CDs, which are beautiful. I also listened to Sarah Morris's CDs, which are also very beautiful too. And in Sarah Morris, I saw this little bit of Bob Dylan, but I saw more of the Joan Baez.
Sure.
Because Joan Baez was not just an interpreter of Bob Dylan. Joan Baez was also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, had composed some of her own music, and Joan Baez also had a way with words. So Sarah Morris is a mixture of Bob Dylan and Joan Baez.
Yeah.
And
Very true.
and the videos that she did of the Toilet Tunes, and then am I missing you yet? They're very creative. I love that. We need more of that, and the fact that Minnesota is giving birth to this sort of creativity.
Right. Yeah.
Is very great.
Yeah.
My next question, I already talked about the other 3 CDs. I still haven't recovered from Heba Jeba. I love it. The other one, which is my second favorite, Tony wanted to make a record.
Yeah.
Now, number one, what was the inspiration behind Tony wanted to make a record?
Tony wanted to make a record. I have a friend, Tony. He's the one who remixed my all the songs for This Is What I Do. We were in bands together for years, and he said, I want to make a rock record. Or I think he said a song, and I turned it into a full album. I said, well, I got a bunch of songs, let's do something. And in the end, I ended up doing most of it myself, and then would bring things to him, and then he mixed it, or mixed half of it, I don't remember now. But the whole title, Tony Wanted to Make a Record, came from that, and I thought it was I like goofy titles, I like silly things. I can get really serious and heartfelt, but I like to do ridiculous things, and so that kind of spawned that. The cover is...
Yeah, I love the cover.
It looks like a cigar, but they're actually licorice root. I chew on licorice root because it's good for your throat. And so my grandson always wants some, so whenever I see him, I give him some. So that picture with him thumbs up, doing the Popeye with his eye closed was pretty sweet. And it was just I was driving, and my wife took this picture, and I'm like, this looks great. That turned into the cover.
Yeah, I love it. But I loved all of your CDs, and you're gonna. I love all of your CDs, and I'm hoping to hear from more of you and other artists of the Midwest.
Yeah, thank you.
Which leads to the next question. We talked about the beginning, the present, the CDs, now the future.
Yeah.
How do you? I cannot predict the future, but I do ask 2 questions about the future. First question. Let me take that back. 3 questions I have. First question. How do you see your future in the music business? That's the first question. The second question, how do you see the Midwest country music scene, especially now that you have the Midwest Country Music Organization, and how do you see Minnesota in the Midwest country music compared to Nashville?
Those are good questions. The first question, I can tell you what I have coming in the future. I did put another record out only digitally in the beginning of the year, and I've got more songs I'm working on for a future record and another Heba Jeba thing. But in the meantime, at the end of April, we've been working there's a collective of us, we call ourselves the Supper Club Collective, and we are putting out an album of Minnesota artists covering other Minnesota artists. So there's like 13 of us, and we all just basically traded names like a Secret Santa hat, and picked the other person that we're going to cover, and we're putting an album of that. So somebody covers my song, I cover someone else's. Sarah Morris is on it. Same thing. It just goes this circle of people covering. So we're going to do a digital album for that, and we're doing a release show up in Minneapolis, April 30th. And then the other thing that I'm excited about, that I'm really excited about, is I'm helping to produce a friend of mine's record. His name is Doyle Turner. And so I get to be the producer. I call myself the backseat driver, because I just say annoying things and he does them he relents until I get my way. No, we're just trying to do something and make something special with all these songs. He's an incredible songwriter. And I was excited they asked me to be part of this, and so I get to actually try to be not an engineer like I'm mixing or anything, but more like, hey, what if we did that? What if we got so-and-so to play Hammond on this, or electric guitar on that, or, and so we're shaping songs together. And so that'll come out sometime in the fall. I think September is the plan that he'll put that out. So there's a lot of music. So that's the future that I can tell you is more the immediate, I don't know about business. I have no idea what could come of it. And that's okay. I just want to make the music, and the other parts will work out. Midwest country music, or Midwest Country Music Organization, I think that'll continue to grow. It started here in Minnesota by a bunch of some really great people. I can't remember who all was involved. Paul Thomas was one of them. He's an incredible guy. And I feel horrible. I joined a year before, probably 2019, I think. And it's just a great thing they're doing, and it's branching out throughout the Midwest. It'd be interesting to get Ohio, areas like that in there too. So we're starting to get more traction in other South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin. So I see the growth there is a great thing. And they do a lot of, I'm not really a country artist per se, but Americana, so that is lumped in there. And so that's cool, and it's a really cool, incredible community. And I think that the desire, PT's heart was, I want to build community, and I'm all on board for anybody who wants to build community. Yeah, I'll be part of your community. I think that's a cool thing. So I see that. And then I think your other question was, what is Minnesota's role in that?
Yeah, Minnesota's role in Midwest country. How do you see Minnesota's role and its future?
Yeah, so I think, and then compared to Nashville, that's right. So that's part of the reason we wanted to do this. It's unrelated to the Midwest CMO, but why we wanted to do the Minnesota Covers album was because we wanted to really just make our statement that there are incredible songwriters here in Minnesota. And if you think about it, even Nashville songwriters, Caitlin Smith, one of the best songwriters, she's from Minnesota. She just happened to move to Nashville to become a writer, right? So I think there's value in cities like Nashville, LA, New York, but I don't think in this day and age that it's as important. Depending on what you want to do with your career, you can do that anywhere. And Minnesota's got a rich history. Prince, Morris Day, you've got on and on. There's blues artists that came from Minnesota. There's rock and roll. There's punk rock. All of the Seattle sound. Not just Minnesota, but Husker Du helped shape what became Nirvana, and then ultimately Foo Fighters and things like that, right? The replacements. So you have Minnesota is very, very rich, and there is an abundance of immense talent in Minnesota as far as songwriters, musicians, bands. You can do anything you want right here, and I would love to encourage people to not to never leave, because there could be a reason for you to go. You should go where you're supposed to go, but you don't have to go just to make it. I think you can find your space right here, at least for a time, and maybe you come back at some point too. Yeah.
Do you think that one day artists like you or any other artists from Minnesota, Sarah Morris or any others like Brooklyn, would by any chance perform in Florida, especially in the Florida Keys? In the Florida Keys, we have two festivals. One is the Key Largo Original Music Festival, and the other one is the Key West Singer Songwriter Festival. I'm not going to be able to go this year because I've had to take care of personal reasons that I will talk about after we finish here. But we'd love to see more Midwestern artists, because the Key West Singer Songwriter Festival, before all of the pandemic came, the same with the Key Largo Original Song Festival, we had artists from all over the world, and especially all over the 50 states, and some from the Midwest, especially Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio. And there would be a time when many would converge. Many people would, after Christmas, the day after Christmas, when the trees are put away and everything, on December 26th, everybody that I knew in the Rocky Mountains in the South and in some areas of the Midwest, I'm talking like Ohio, they would set up the calendar for like May and then get everything ready, make the reservations for the Key West Singer Songwriter Festival and the Key Largo Songwriter Festival, and they will just come on down. Can we see this from other members of the MCMO?
I think so. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. It would be great if it was done in the winter when we're stuck up here in snow. But yeah, I think it would be fun if there was a fit. If all the stars aligned, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have it in winter. It's sort of like a spring summer festival for all artists.
Sure.
Which means everyone converges, and I would go there and do a lot of interviews. My other predecessor, he did a lot of interviews too when he worked with AMI Radio. So
sure.
So we're just talking about all of that. So we were hoping that one day to be in Florida. Last but not least, since I'm already seeing the T-shirt "Let It Be" by the Beatles,
yes,
which I love a lot. "Let It Be" gives me a lot of memories, which leads me to the last question.
Yeah.
The last question is, who are your musical idols and how did they influence you to be the artist that you are right now?
Yeah. I would always list first Kiss, because when I was really young, I saw these. They look like comic book heroes to me, and it was long before I'd ever heard their music. I thought they were the coolest thing ever. I don't listen to them as much now. They're kind of more of a guilty pleasure. But I do, I enjoy a Kiss song every now and then. I would go see them live because they're incredible live. Tom Petty, big influence for me. He was grew up in the 80s and all the heavy metal and I couldn't sing like them or play guitar like them. And then hearing Tom Petty, like, this is an incredible songwriter who I can't do what he does, but I can emulate it. I can at least, and I can relate, and I just really loved it. And he has a goofy sense of humor. He wrote some just wonderful songs, but he also could write funny songs. And then the last one I would mention is not the only. I mean, obviously I could say John Prine but he was late in the game for me. I'm so bummed that right around when I was getting into him, and then when he passed. But for me, it would be Willie Nelson. He is. I think for me, what he does for me is he's one of the best songwriters, right? But what makes him also a great songwriter is his appreciation of songwriters. So he covers other people's songs. I don't think I knew when I was a kid listening to Willie Nelson that half the songs I knew that he sang weren't his. All of his hits somebody else did, and then he did other people's songs. And he's just, that really helps me show an appreciation for others, other people. And he was an incredible community person. He does festivals with all of his friends still, even like pushed 89 years old. And that gives me hope that maybe I can do this when I'm 89. We'll see. Yeah.
No, there's no limit. There's no limit to what we could do. There's no limit. But there have been people who are in their 90s and they're still pushing it. Mm-hmm. And even Mick Jagger with the Rolling Stones, they're still pushing it.
Yeah.
So we could still push it in our 80s or our 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 60 years old and I'm still pushing it.
Yeah.
So I just before leaving and thanking you, I want to say one thing. I'm going to say one thing before we let you go, but please, when we finish the show, don't hang up on me yet, because I'm going to say goodbye to you personally after the show. But I also wanted to let everybody also know that the clothes that I am wearing is manufactured and made by the All American Clothing Company in Ohio. I'm a big consumer of American products, especially clothing. You could Google All American Clothing Company. I am not an employee, I'm not a worker, I'm just simply a happy customer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm inviting people to buy American. not just simply go to the artists, but also go to the clothing companies or any other companies that are small businesses and from the Midwest, it's like Be Tough Jeans, also the All American Clothing Company, and also look for these small businesses in the Midwest. For the Americana Bistro Grill, for the rest of the world, thank you, Ted, for coming. And it's
Thanks for having me.
and for me, we have to remember this: peace in, peace out, and peace everywhere. And in the words of the famous Texas singer-songwriter Laura Marie, be love. Thank you very much.
Thank you.